If you haven't heard by now, my production company, Positive Spin Songs, is composing, arranging, and producing a lot of music. If you watched or heard the podcast last week, you saw a little of how the sausage is made. And the way it's made is, I'm not always the one making it. In fact, I have dozens of partners and literally hundreds of players and singers at my disposal in Nashville and all around the world to make great music for music libraries, music supervisors, sync agents, and other music clients. But guess what? That's not enough. I need more. I'm like Galactus. I must eat another planet. I don't even know where that came from. I do know where that came from. I saw the movie yesterday, the Fantastic Four movie. And just in case you think, what do you do down there in Florida? Just go watch movies all the time when you're not making music? No. 2 days ago, before that, I went to the water park. So there. But I need more help. So in today's hour I have to spend away from working on 20 or 30 albums at a time and or going to movies and water parks, I want to spend it telling you what I need. Why am I pointing so much? Who are the people I need? Composers, producers, players, singers? Yes. And what are the styles I need? Orchestral, hip-hop, rock, pop, Latin, dramedy, tension, bluegrass, zydeco, ethnic, world, Christmas, holiday? Yeah, that's it. So today I want to talk about all these things, what I'm looking for, who I'm looking for, to help me create albums that are going in music libraries, including my own later this year, getting placements in TV shows. I just saw more than a handful of placements in the last month alone from 4 different libraries. It is working, ladies and gentlemen. And then, of course, here in about 10 days, we're going to see BMI has a payment coming out. We'll see what that brings. If it brings more or less or the same, we'll see. But as they said in the famous film within a film, A Fistful of Yen, we are building a fighting force of extraordinary magnitude. So what do I need? Who am I looking for? Well, maybe it's you. Welcome to the Make Music Income Podcast. My name is Eric Copeland, and I've made a full-time living as a music producer, composer, and arranger for over 25 years. In this podcast, I talk about making music income with music licensing, music production, music streaming, music royalties, being a music composer, arranger, producer, or artist, or really any way that I have in the past or currently now or want to make music income. I have free and paid courses and coaching and ebooks for you at makemusicincome.com/free. Make sure to like this podcast if you enjoy the content, because it really helps, and subscribe if you're just finding the podcast or channel and want to be part of things every week. I hope all this content helps you make the music you love to make and make music income. All right, well, welcome to the podcast this week, everybody. Today, we're going to talk about the specific things that I need and what kind of people I need, what kind of styles of music that I need. If you are watching this, if you are just tuning in, this is for you. This is for you to know if we could work together, if I could use your talents. And so we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about, and it all kind of goes together with our Positive Spin Partners program. This is a YouTube channel, and I am a company that's not just me. It's made up of co-writers, co-composers, co-songwriters, co-arrangers, co-producers, co-beat makers, co-instrumentalists, and co-vocalists that are working together to create music specifically probably for sync licensing for television, but also for other things that might happen, movies and sports and lots of different things like that, possibly advertising, things like that. So we're working together, and so what I wanted to do today was just talk about the kind of people that I'm looking for. And you may not even know that I'm looking for you. And you may be wondering, is this a place that I need to get involved with? And how do I get involved with it? And are they even looking for me? Will you be surprised? So we're going to talk about that today. Please, if you're here live, leave a message in the chat, and love to get questions here. But we're going to get right into it today, and we'll be touching back on the partners thing through the entire thing, because all I'm going to be talking about today is partners, because I'm going to be talking about what I need. I can't do this alone. And as I become my own librarian, as I work for half a dozen to a dozen other libraries, I am needing to supply them with albums of songs. That's right, albums, 10-song albums of songs. So I need help doing that. In some ways, I'm a one-man band. I'm a one-man company. I don't just mean I'm a one-man band here on the keyboard. I mean, I'm a one-man band as far as a company. But I'm not, because I have 25 to 30 partners right now that work with me every week towards getting music out. I'm also not a one-man band because I have a literal band of many, many players in Nashville and around the world, and vocalists on Sound Better and different things and places. I just found another musician on Sound Better that I want to use. So it's way more than me, what my company is. And this is a channel about making music income. And that's what I do. That's all I do, mostly from the producer aspect, where I'm producing and or composing things and or co-composing things and co-producing things. And so today what I want to talk about is what I need from you, what I need as far as people. So let's get to that right now. And let's start with the people I need. And so who am I talking about when I'm talking about the people that I need to help me create these albums? Well, I think it's fairly obvious, but maybe it's not to you. Maybe it's not completely obvious to you what I need. But certainly I need co-composers, co-songwriters, co-arrangers, because a lot of stuff that we do, especially if it's holiday music or if it's classical music or if it's standards or whatever, we are rearranging things. And so I need people who are talented co-arrangers. I need co-producers and co-beat makers. So people who are working with me run the gamut, really, from being artists who really have ideas for songs and or don't, and you probably start their own songs and then have me help them finish it in my kind of traditional producer role. And then it runs the gamut all the way to people who can do finished beats already, finished complete tracks that sound good, finished tension albums, finished hip-hop albums, all that kind of stuff. And what I am doing is kind of doing a final mix and master, maybe beefing up the strings, beefing up the horns, beefing up stuff, maybe adding some melodies in or adding some better instrument sounds and things like that. And so that's the gamut from that. I talked about this last week. So, but I could still use more of everybody on that spectrum. Anybody who is trying to, you're just trying to get into this. You're trying to get going on this. You're trying to figure out, how can I get into sync licensing? How can I get into producing? How can I get into making more music? It seems like sync and, or I should say licensing your music is very popular now with anyone, because it's basically music publishing. It's what we've always wanted. It's what I wanted since I was a teenager, which was to get my music published and handed off to a publisher who would then do something with it. Everyone acts like sync licensing is this new thing that just came up since COVID, but it's been around for 50 years, 100 years. Ever since television started, it's been around. Maybe even since radio started, it's been around in some way. But what we're talking about right now, if you talking about making sync music and then getting it out into a library, which then gets it heard by a music supervisor, which then gets it into a television show, which then pays you. It's just another form of music publishing. Publishing your music by the library, in this case, acting as a publisher to be the conduit to get it out to someplace that uses it and makes it money that comes back into your PRO and pays you, or back to the library/publisher who pays you. So that's what we're talking about. And the people that I need are certainly co-composers, co-songwriters, co-arrangers, co-producers, and beat makers. But I also need instrumentalists. And I think this is so important that I need to make its own category for it. So I'm just going to make that right here, because I think this is something that I don't talk about enough on here that I need. And so hopefully I spelled that right. I want to talk about instrumentalists. I need people who, and especially organic instrumentalists. I think this is the thing that is, I'm just going to give you a massive hint today. A massive hot, it's not even a hot take. Yeah, it is a hot take. Libraries want real instruments. In a day where there is, of course, AI out there, and there's so much great fake instruments that you can buy and play from your keyboard, they love real instruments. I just had a library ask me yesterday, do you have access to a real instrumentalist in this certain thing? And I said, yes, as a matter of fact, I do. And we have many albums that we've done together. So they are looking for that. They are hungry for that. The albums that I just did, the country albums that have real mandolin, real banjo, real fiddle, and real dobro. I just had that plus another album I just finished uploading yesterday to a library that was filled with dobro. It's got such personality to it. And this album also has personality because of that. So anything that is organic, and I think that starts with acoustic guitar and electric guitar. Or electric guitar is kind of electric, I know, but it's also organically played. And I think we're starting to hear these electric guitar loops all over the place. I mean, if you are a programmer in computers, or you have native instruments and you are making stuff in your DAW, there's all sorts of guitar sounds that sound pretty good. They sound pretty fine. And or you're downloading splice loops, which, by the way, don't, because you can't use them with libraries. They do not want them. So acoustic guitar and electric guitar, the ability to have that have a player that's actually playing original acoustic guitar parts and electric guitar parts, that is very helpful. Staying in the guitar family, banjo, real banjo players. I'm not talking about using the Logic stock banjo patch. I'm talking about really you play the banjo. And there's probably only none of you watching right now that play the banjo. Really, that literally have a banjo that can literally reach and grab it and start playing it. I challenge you to tell me in the chat or in the comments if you're watching later, if you actually literally play the banjo and have a banjo. Same with mandolin, same with dobro, same with fiddle, same with bouzouki. Do you even know what a bouzouki is? These kind of stringed instruments, or a high-string guitar, there's a lot of these. Ukulele. A lot of you probably have a ukulele. And then we get into the bass family, and not just electric bass, electric bass is probably one of the least things I need, along with drums, mainly because I have so many drums options, from great sounds that sound pretty real to real players in Nashville. And so I wouldn't say, and the real players in Nashville are probably what the drums that you have on your keyboard were sampled from. They are that good, and they are that great in the pocket and all that kind of stuff. So bass and electric bass and drums are probably the least thing I need. And because I appreciate that you could play bass in your band, or you can play drums, but the odds that you're going to have a groove inside a pocket is probably not great compared to the players that I have who do this every day. Even I'm scheduling a session now at the beginning of September with some of the top players it's another kind of modern country session where I've got the ACM bass player of the year in country music, the country music bass player of the year, booked to play this date so far. So, and talking to the runner-up and the drummer of the year for country music. So that's the kind of players that I have at my disposal in Nashville. But and I don't get me wrong, I have great guitar players too. But I think that's something that is more. That's something that can be done, and I can use is electric guitar players and guitar players who have very good tones and very good recording of themselves. And of course, all the other things too, the banjo and the mandolin and dobro and all the stuff I was talking about. But besides electric bass, I can use upright bass and fretless bass. Those are things that are a little bit more boutique and a little bit more unique. And so anything unique in instruments is very helpful. Then we get into strings. And when I'm talking about strings in this thing, now we're switching from guitar strings to classical strings, violins, viola, cello, double bass. I already have a cellist I work with a lot. I have a violin and viola person who has contacted me, so that's very helpful. I have a double bass person that is a good friend of mine. So we're going to be doing some quartet and quintet things. We're going to be doing some covers. We're going to be doing some really fun stuff with real classical strings where we do different things with them. And anytime you can take a classical instrument that's known, and instead of playing Bach on it, you play, Lady Gaga or something like that. That is unique, and television is needing that. Just watch Bridgerton or watch some of these shows where you have these covers done by string quartets and things like that. So if you play violin, viola, cello, double bass, you need to be more than just a casual player. This can't be something, none of what I'm going to talk about today. I'm doing a lot of like the Jedi mind trick here. None of what I'm going to talk about today is the people that I want, the instrumentalists that I'm talking about, is not people who played in high school. I played trombone in high school. I've got one back in the closet back there. I don't pull it out much because I am not I haven't kept up my skill at a pro level. But if you have, and you know how to record yourself, that's the other thing. You're able to record yourself well. And that goes for any of the instruments I'm talking about here, including the guitars, including the banjo, all that kind of stuff. You have to be able to record yourself very well. But when we get past classical strings, then we get into horns. And we can be talking here about all kinds of horns, from classical and band and orchestra horns like French horn, trumpet, trombone, baritone / euphonium, and tuba. If you play any of those for real and you are a professional and you are watching this, then that is something I could use. Using real horns and real instruments always is great. And the harder thing sometimes is to align and mix in a player who is either not on the beat, who is not very good at timing, who is not great at recording themselves, and mixing that up against great samples that I'm using. That can be problematic and a little harder. But certainly I need horn players. And also on the flip side of horns, not the orchestral side, not the orchestral or band side, concert band side of things, but the horns that you might hear in jazz or pop or something like that. So trumpet, trombone, those kind of things in a more contemporary setting. And then going into woodwinds, in that whole section there, you're talking about saxes, saxophones, and so trombones, trumpets, saxophones, baritone sax, things like that. Those things together are very valuable as a horn section, and real horn sections would be great to have. So I could get you involved in things, and you could get the way I pay players. People ask me all this time, how do you pay these people? How do you pay these instrumentalists? Well, the best way is we work together as partners inside of the royalty stream. So I include people in the PRO part of the royalty stream. Depending on how many people there are, you can only do so many before libraries get a little antsy with all of that. But so let's get to woodwinds, because this is another important thing, like strings: flute, piccolo, clarinet, and then oboe and English horn, bassoon, contrabassoon, and then all the saxophone family. Saxes aren't always used in orchestral music a lot, but they are used a lot in contemporary music, and so saxophones are very useful. Again, all of these instruments, but especially flute, clarinet, and sax, can be used in non-classical ways, like in music in New Orleans, in jazz, in rock, and different things like that. So definitely in, I said New Orleans, but ragtime, things like that. Clarinet is very useful for a lot of different things. Flute also. So that's woodwinds. And again, this means that you not only know how to play the flute or the clarinet or the oboe or English horn or the bassoon, but you are able to play well as a professional, to the point where you're playing now. You didn't used to play 20 years ago and you're going to pick it back up because you want to get into sync. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm looking for professionals here, and or people who are teachers that teach the instrument, professors, people who play in local bands now that can record themselves well, that know what a DAW is. You know, if I say the word DAW, D-A-W, and you don't know what that means, well, then there's probably some learning curve that you're going to have to get into before you're able to do this and become a partner that's going to be really helpful to me and to the libraries that I serve and to the clients that I work for. All right, so we've talked about acoustic and electric guitar, basses, banjo, and all of those things, and all of the mandolin and dobro and different kinds of instruments. We've talked about strings, both classical. We've talked about all classical strings, violins through double basses, horns, all of the horns and all the woodwinds. Let's talk about percussion. Again, not talking about drums, but talking about orchestral percussion. Again, this isn't something that most people are going to have. Most people are not going to have timpani in their living room. So I know that, but there might be people who work at a school or work orchestrally who can record that live. See, this is the kind of thing. If you have the ability to record real percussion with good mics and record it yourself, and or we could also be talking about pop, jazz, or ethnic percussion, where we're talking about shakers and tambourines and all kinds of congas and bongos and different things that you could be doing. Different kinds of little things like I have sitting around. I literally use. I have a mouth harp somewhere that's gotten some use on some of the country stuff around here, and a shaker and a tambourine that I pull out all the time to add real sounding stuff. The human element is more important than ever. It's always been a thing. It's never, and I don't think it'll ever go away. I don't care. AI be damned. I don't think that you're going to see the human element ever go away. People are going to want that sound. People are going to want that person. People are interested in people. And so that's going to be a thing. AI will continue to be a tool and be used. But so inside of percussion, any kind of percussion things, maybe you're a drummer who grew up in the band world and you know how to play snare and drumline. I do drumline all the time. I'm doing drumline right now for a percussion project. So drumline is something that maybe you know how to do. Maybe you've done it before. Continuing with instrumentalists, just a few more. Real accordion. If you play accordion, and this isn't something, accordion, and I'll also lump in harmonica here, maybe melodica. I think these things can be, there's not a ton of work for real professional accordionists. I know some people in Nashville that are pros at it. It's usually keyboard players who play the accordion as well. But I do know a guy who specializes in accordion, and he's brought in for a lot of the accordion stuff. I should go back up to banjo, mandolin, and dobro and fiddle and say steel guitar. If you happen to play pedal steel or steel guitar, this kind of goes along with dobro or slide guitar, that also fits into that area up there. Forgot to mention steel guitar. These are more really specific specialty things like accordion is and harmonica is. And then I'll just mention one more thing, which is B3 organ. And I guess to some extent, any kind of organ, including pipe organ, but that's so hard to record. And as far as organically, I have 1,000 great cathedral organ patches through all the software that I have. So I'm a keyboard player. But B3, even though it's something I do, and if you don't know what B3 is, it's a type of organ, and Hammond B3 organ or C3 organ, and it's used a lot in gospel music, of course, in black church, in a lot of blues, in country. It's used a lot more than you would think. With the Leslie cabinet and all that kind of stuff. If you are able to record real B3, again, I don't need Logic B3 played by someone because I can do that myself. But I do need someone who can play the B3. All right, so that's instrumentalist. Tell me if I've missed anything that you might play or have heard about. But whatever you do, as Lovely Fishing Rod reminds us here, play with passion. Yeah, well, and that's what you get from someone who plays an instrument organically. And that's why I said it's so important for this to be organic. I don't need people who can fake it really well on their DAW, because I can too. I can already do that. But what I am looking for is instrumentalists who play organic instruments that can then take what I'm working on and make it multidimensional. And that's kind of the key word today in this whole thing, is what I need is things that make the music that we make for our clients and our libraries and whoever we're making music for. They make it dimensional, and there's several ways they make it dimensional. First of all, it's dimensional just by working with someone else, a person other than myself on the DAW. Any of you out there working on your DAWs and you think, I can do all these instruments, I don't need anyone else. Yes, you do. Yeah, you do. Because while you can play all the things, there's just something about someone else speaking into your music with an instrument that makes it different and makes it better. And it makes it more dimensional, and it makes it more, it just gives it another layer of authenticity and realness. It's something that AI can't do, is meld two human brains together and make this thing. It's stealing from AI. AI is stealing from human brains because it's just working off stuff that's already been made, but we're not going to talk about that today. We talked about instrumentalists, but what I also need after instrumentalists, and this is probably way more important, is vocalists. And we didn't really talk about vocalists, and it was right here on the list, and I just totally skipped over it and jumped into styles. So we'll get back to styles in a minute. But vocalists, I need sopranos, I need altos, I need tenors, I need baritones, I need basses. And when I mention those names, you probably go choral. You start thinking, oh, he needs people to do classical type stuff. And maybe, yeah, we'll get there. But I need, just like I need violin 2, viola, cello, and double bass, I need soprano, alto, tenor, baritone, and bass singers. So I need unique female and male voices, lead voices who can sing solos in songs, who are able to sing live and sing on these things that we are developing. That's what I need. I need youthful or all the way to mature and everything in between. I need bluesy voices. I need rock voices. I need jazzy voices. I need classical voices. I need classical and opera singers. I could really use some great opera singers because I have an album coming up of opera. It's going to be different, but I'm going to need it. I need country singers. Wow, do I need country singers? I usually have to go on soundbetter.com to find country singers, and I find great ones there. And now I have a bunch that I really love. Obviously, pop singers and rock singers, indie singers. I think when I say the word indie, hopefully you know what I mean by that. I mean somebody who has an edge to their voice. They don't sound like your normal pop or country or whatever voice. They've got something unique about their voice that just feels different. It hits different, as they say. And then, of course, the soprano, alto, tenor, baritone, and bass singers for choral music. So if those are things you have, then you will want to contact me. And by the way, the way to contact me to partner with me is in the description below. You'll always find it. It's always part of what we're doing here on this show, the Positive Spin Partners Program. And there's all sorts of ways to be involved in this, from like my right-hand man or woman on certain projects to just a singer, to just a flute player, to a cellist, to whatever. That's what this video is all about. It's a call out to you. If you've been watching these videos and you're like, I don't know where I fit in to what he's doing, but I want to. Well, I'm giving that all to you today, how to fit in and be a partner with me in what we're doing. But vocals are very important. So if you are a singer of any kind and you have a unique voice, then you need to check in. You need to check in with me at positivespinsongs@gmail.com and say, hey, I do this. I sing this way. I've got a cool voice, I think. What do you think? And you'd be surprised at how we might be able to work together. But the styles I need, I already talked about orchestral. I talked about hip hop. Those are usually needed for almost everything. And as a matter of fact, we do a lot of orchestral hip hop, or what we would call beats and strings. That's getting a lot of play right now. My beats and strings, I think we only did 6 songs for BMG of beats and strings, and it is getting so much play. We're getting golf play, like the Masters tournament. We're getting network television play on a recent show that just started airing. We're getting a lot of play with orchestral hip hop. It's just a popular thing to use back behind stuff. But once we get past orchestral and hip hop and beats and stuff like that, and this is a little related to hip hop, but we start getting into Latin stuff, and I am involved in several Latin projects right now. I'm doing a reggaeton project that we'll probably get to this afternoon when we're finished here. It's already I've already shown the first 3 songs to the library, and they love it, and they want to get them, so I got to finish them. And now that I finished the project that I turned in yesterday, I can now start to work on the project that I need to turn in next week. So that's how this works. Once a week, I want to be at least delivering 1 album per week, which would make us be at about an album a week of 10 songs delivered, would put us at about 500 songs plus delivered per year. So that will work. That'll work for me. But when I talk about Latin music, I'm talking about styles like mariachi, styles like bachata, styles like reggaeton, Spanish guitar styles of any kind, flamenco type of guitar stuff. A lot of time it's going to be involved. It's either going to be beat involved or guitar involved or both. Mariachi has trumpets and violins involved. And mariachi, I've got an idea in mind. I live in Orlando now, and there's some good decent mariachi bands I've seen around. And so another one of my goals after the reggaeton album is to do a mariachi album. But we are also doing some Afrobeat stuff with one of my current producers. And so that kind of fits into this. That would be a whole different thing. We'll get to that in a minute. After Latin, let's just go ahead around the world. African type music, Afro beats, Afro house, different kinds of stuff like that. World music of all kinds, from and all cultures. Asian music, Indian music. Would love to do a Bollywood album. Was talking to a guy about doing a Bollywood album. Would love to do anything that is Middle Eastern. Chip and I, one of my partners, is already working on a kind of a Middle Eastern album with kind of a hybrid album. But anything ethnic, I think if we could just go around the world and hit the pop ethnic side of the world, that would be really fun, I think. So if you are anywhere in the world and you're doing any kind of music like that, give me a like. Let me know that that's something you do. If any of the things I've talked about so far, and you're watching this right now or you're watching this later, make sure you like this video. That really helps everybody to see this, and maybe, just maybe, I can find more people and what I need to continue this quest to build a fighting force of extraordinary magnitude of musicians and singers. And let's go. All right, so included in ethnic, we could talk about some ethnic things inside the United States, like bluegrass, like Zydeco, like New Orleans, like Dixieland, like I just got done this week with a beautiful Western cinematic album, which featured a lot of sounds from the West. Kind of, it's like a science fiction Western, cowboys versus aliens or something like that. So there's a lot inside of the U.S. to do, but there's a lot all over the world. Mexican music by itself, there's all these different kinds. Besides mariachi, there's also banda, and there's just different kinds of things you can do with very unique. I studied this kind of stuff when I was studying world music, and it's so fascinating. French music, and I'm not just talking about romantic classical, but I'm talking about what's pop and what's going on in hip hop in France right now, what's going on in Germany in different kinds of music and techno and different things like that, what's going on all around the world. All this stuff is needed. When you ask me what is needed, it's like the hardest thing that I have to do when someone says, what kind of music do you do? Especially if it's like a library. I'm like, oh no, because of all the players that I work with and all the directions I can go with all the partners I can go in them. And so it's really difficult to pin down a specific style. So that's why I'm telling you some styles I need. So getting past the ethnic styles of the world and U.S., then we get into Christmas and holiday music, which is something that I do every year. Albums and albums of this stuff. And this August, I did see some Christmas PRO pay. That was pretty good. About $300 or $400 of Christmas pay from a ABC show that I had some Christmas stuff on. This particular PRO check, I should see a lot of stuff from Germany and from Europe that was played, which was a lot. Don't know how it'll pay, but there was a lot of Christmas stuff during the holiday season. There is every year, and some of it's used over and over, but it was used in European television. That takes another quarter to get to my BMI account and to pay me. So, but Christmas and holiday, and not just Christmas, but the reason I say holiday is because we've got lots of holidays to hit, especially patriotic, but even probably more than that, Halloween is probably, we just did a Halloween album for our BMG library, and that's out. And I've done at least, we did a second Christmas cello album. We've done a Christmas Celtic harp album. we're working on a Christmas vocal album right now, and so we've got singers and we've got bands and we've got all that kind of stuff working on a Christmas vocal album right now. Actually, 2 Christmas vocal albums. So we've got a lot of stuff going on of holiday music. Looks like we're getting ready to jump on another Halloween project here soon with one of my partners, and so holiday and Christmas it's always the holidays around here of some kind. But patriotic is good too because of all, especially American patriotic, because of all the American patriotic holidays, including 4th of July, but also Memorial Day, Veterans Day. I've made a good amount of money on non-exclusive libraries like Motion Array and like Pond 5 and Audio Jungle and different places like that with holiday music, especially patriotic music. And as far as sheet music goes, that's where I make most of my money, is on 4th of July. I must sell America the Beautiful about 30, 40 times. And so if I would do more, I would have more sales again. But holidays are very important, and so I do work in the holiday styles. Libraries and clients. What do I need as far as libraries and clients? And the first thing is just more music libraries. I know I serve a lot now, but when it comes down to it, it's still a small amount that actually take a lot of what we do. I mean, I have probably 10 to 15 libraries that I'm in, but as anyone who is in a lot of libraries will tell you, only certain ones take a lot of stuff. So you might only have one album at a time going with a library. And as it happens, I have one library that I have 4 albums kind of lined up, waiting to get in, that are done, stemmed, delivered, that are waiting to get drop on this particular library. And I just delivered one yesterday to another library, delivering another next week, a couple maybe next week. And so libraries are always things that I'm going to need and will be looking for. And then, of course, I found another library that's actually going to let me have my own label, which I don't know if anyone has seen this, but this is a little swag for Creative Soul Records, which it's disgusting because I've been drinking tea out of it all morning. But Creative Soul Records is the name of my record label that I've had for 27 years, I think, 28 years. And since the late 90s, when I started producing people or actually my own music under that label name. And that is going to be the name of my label on a larger label. And so I'll talk more about that as we get closer. It's still a few months away before my first albums drop there. But I'll be my own client, so to speak, and putting stuff out to my library. That's why I'm going through all of this today. That's why I'm talking about all these things I need. It's because I am literally fishing for people who can be part of things here with me. And people keep asking me, how do I get involved? What do you need? This is the video that I need. But besides libraries, the person and persons that I'd like to talk to, and even on this channel, I'd like to talk and know me, is music supervisors. And so I'm going to the Production Music Conference that's in Los Angeles in October. And it's in Los Angeles. And I'm hoping to make start building some relationships there. And I'm doing it also on LinkedIn and trying to build up people who like what we do so much that they want to be bothered by me. Not bothered by me like, ooh, what do you need this week? But when I have a new album out, I can let them know about it. And if they have interest in it, they can partake. And or they know where to find me in what library, including my own. So music supervisors are clients and people that I need. And then sync agents, to some extent, I'm still looking for that right sync agent relationship, trying to find the person who wants to work with me and be a partner in making some cheddar, as Dave Croft has said before on this show, making some money with me by working with me on what they know they need, and then we can work with our partners for them. That's probably about the only brief that I'm interested in. I get briefs every day, and they as Michelle Weiss Maslin once said to me, they're called, she calls them interrupters, because you'll be working and then all of a sudden your email drops. Oh, we need this. And you're like, what? You need it? Do I have it? And the next thing you know, you've spent 10 minutes trying to decide if you want to try to send something to this brief, which I call an if, because it's probably a brief out to 2,000 people or more. And the odds that even if you had the right thing that you'd get it in there are less than if someone went to a library looking for something and you had what they were looking for. Personally, I just like that better. I like that library model better. But those are the things I'm searching for. Those are the kind of main things that I am searching for. Certainly and foremost, the people I need are co-producers, co-songwriters and composers, co-arrangers, co-beat makers, and then, of course, instrumentalists of all kinds, especially organic instrumentalists who can record themselves well, vocalists who can record themselves well, and then you've heard about all the styles that I need, which are really all the styles. There's not a style I don't need, pretty much. I can't think of it. Like I said, the only thing I really won't take is anything with explicit language in it. I would say tension is starting to be dissed by libraries because everybody feels like they have enough tension. But almost anything else I could use and want to use and put in my own library, and also put in libraries that I have access to. And that, of course, is always the thing that I need more of, is libraries and clients. All right, so make sure you get in touch at Positive Spin Partners if you're interested. But everybody, I hope this has been somewhat helpful to you today, and let you know what I'm looking for, what the instruments I'm looking for. Go back. I'll at some point put markers in to where I talk about instrumentalists, where I talk about styles, and let you know where those things are so you can listen to what I have to say about that. But if you are needing anything for free, I've got some free stuff for you at makemusicincome.com/free. And then remember to like this video. Somebody just like this. Thank you so much. Like this video, and so other people who are trying to find a way to be involved, to try to find a way to get their talents out, to work with someone to get to the next level and share their talents with the world, not just with me, but with the world through getting on television shows and getting on other things like that. That's what the Partners Program really is. It's more than just let's get some money, let's get some stuff in sync so we get some PRO money. Yeah, that'd be great. But I look at sharing your music through television as another distribution of your music out to the world. And think of the feeling that you get sometimes when you're watching a television show and the music plays. It really makes you feel good. Sometimes it makes you feel scared, or it makes you feel happy, or it makes you sad, but it certainly affects you. And so that's what I think that I want to do. And hopefully we're doing it in as positive a way as possible, that people will feel something good, want to listen to that song more, and go find that song. So, all right, everybody. Well, that's about all I have for you today. Thanks so much for hanging out with me here on the Make Music Income podcast. We will see you and talk to you next week. Hopefully, if I'm not too busy, making positive spin music with all my partners. All right, everybody, have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.